Good morning, students. Today we are doing the chapter packing. Let's begin with the explanation. First line, I said I had packed. The writer Jerome liked to pack luggage for trips and announced that he would do the packing. Now, first paragraph, I read the pride till table. Jerome thought that his ability to pack luggage was better than others. He asked his friend George and Harris to leave the task of packing to him. The two friends agreed to his offer instantly, which was strange. George sat comfortably on the easy chair and Harris bent his knees as he sat on the sofa and kept feet on table. Now, paragraph number second. This was till working. By saying that he would pack, the writer did not mean that his friend would sit and relax while he would do all the work. He had meant that he would boss upon them while they would do all the chores. He would nag them and curse them for not knowing the work well, and then he would chip into sort out the mess that they would create. He was irritated to see them sitting while he did all the work. Now, third paragraph. I lived with a man till help it. He collect that once he lived with a man who would sit lazily on the sofa all day, though, and would watch the writer to do all the work. The man would say that he enjoyed watching him go around doing all the work. This would make the writer mad with anger. The writer adds that he could not sit idle and watch other work like slaves. On the other hand, he liked to check their work, walk around with his hands in his pocket, and direct them on how to do the work properly. He feels that he was energetic. It was part of his nature to behave in this manner. Now, paragraph number 4. However, till wild. The writer did not say anything to his friends and started packing. As he closed it, Harris said that he had forgotten to pack the boots. The writer felt that Harris could have reminded him before he had closed the bag, but he thought that Harris was like that. This was followed by an irritating laughter by George, which made Jerome wild with anger. Now, next, I opened till toothbrush. Jerome opened the bag to keep the boots. As it was about to close it, he was struck by a strange thought that he had kept the toothbrush or not. He says that he never remembers if he has packed the toothbrush or not. Now, next, my toothbrush till handkerchief on the next page. Jerome adds that while traveling, he always messes up with carrying his toothbrush. He has nightmares of not having packed it, wakens up in a sweat and looks for it. In the morning, he packs it before using it, then unpacks the bag to get the brush and use it. As it is the last thing that comes out of the bag and he was repacked the bag, he forgot packing it again. At the last moment, he rushes to his room to get the brush and finally he wraps in his handkerchief and carries on the railway station in his hand. Now, paragraph number 6, of course, still once more. As Jerome was looking for his toothbrush in his bag, he had to remove everything. But he could not find it. He created a mess. He found his friend brushes many times but could not find his brush. He kept everything back into the bag one by one, shaking each item, and finally found the brush inside a boot. Then once again he repacked the bag. Now, paragraph number 7. When I had till a go. When I had till a go. Now when Jerome closed the bag, George asked if the soap was there inside. As Jerome was impatient, he replied that he wasn't concerned if it was there or not. Closed the lid and strapped the bag. Then he realized that he had packed his spectacles in it too and he had to open it again to get them. Finally, the bag was closed at 10:05 p.m. Then they had to pack the food basket. Harris said that as they were left with less than 12 hours to leave, they should pack the basket as well. Harris decided that the food basket would be packed by him and George. Jerome agreed to take his turn for some rest while his friend packed the basket. Now, paragraph number 8. They begin the next page. Exciting it is. George and Harry started packing the hampers in a happy mood. They wanted to show Jerome that they could pack well. Jerome waited for them to create a mess because he considered Harris to be the worst packer in the world. Jerome looked at the piles of the plate, cups, kettles, and bottles, the jar, peas, cakes, and tomatoes, which had to be packed into the hampers. He thought that as the boy would mess up, it would be an interesting thing to watch. Now, the scene became interesting as they broke a cup at the start. Jerome says that they broke the cup to indicate that they could do that they too and make things interesting. Now, then Harris still teaspoon. Harris placed the jar of strawberry jam on the top of tomatoes. The tomatoes were squeezed by the jar and they removed the damaged tomatoes with the help of a spoon. Now the last paragraph, that is ninth paragraph, until pieces is. Next, Jerome stepped onto the butter. Jerome remained silent but sat on the edge of the table to watch the action. His silence irritated his friend. They became nervous and stepped on the things. They kept the things behind them and later when they wanted them, they could not find them. They placed the piece on the bottom and kept heavier things on them which smashed the pieces. Now the 10th one, they upset till room. The boys overturned the can of salt on everything. Jerome says that they created a lot of confusion with a small piece of a butter. He had not seen anyone create so much mess with butter that was worth 1 and 2 pence, meaning it was very small pieces. As they did, Jerome removed it from his slipper and tried to put it into the kettle. As he was unable to do that, he placed it on a chair. Harris sat on it, butter stuck to him. He stood up and both the boys went around the room looking for the piece of a butter. Now, I will take an oath till, said Harris. George looked intently at the empty seat on which he had placed the butter a few minutes ago. He took an oath of truthfulness that he had placed it there not even a minute ago. Then they started the room till another. Once again they searched in the room. They met in the middle of the room empty-handed. Now from most extraordinary till ingenuity. George said that the disappearance of the butter was the most amazing thing that he had known. Harris said that the disappearance of butter was a mystery. George saw that butter sticking to Harris' back and said that it had been there all this while. Now, from where till teapot? Where till teapot? Harris turned around and asked when it was. George flew to Harris' back and asked him to stand still. They removed the butter and packed it inside the teapot. Now, Montmorency, 12th one, till wasted. Zeron's pet dog Montmorency participated in all this. His aim was to interrupt everyone and then scolded for it. Jerome adds that if Montmorency was able to twist into a place and create nuisance by angering people and get things thrown at him in return, he felt that he had utilized that day in a good way. Now, to get somebody till unravel. Montmorency's aim was to get people trip over him and scold him. By doing this, he felt that he had fulfilled his aim and would feel proud of his achievement. Next, he came till fried pan. Montmorency sat on the things that to be packed. He thought that when George and Harris reached for the things to be packed, they were reaching out for his cold, wet nose and would bring it forward for them. He stepped into the jam bottle. He shook the teaspoon. He acted as if the lemon were rats and stepped into the hamper to kill these rats. He was stopped by Harris, who hit him with a frying pan. Now, line number 14. Harris sat till sleeping. Harris blames Jerome for encouraging Montmorency for doing all the mischief. Jerome says that dog like Montmorency did not need encouragement. It was born to be like that and act like that. Now, next one. The packing was done at 12:50 till upstairs. At 12:50 they had packed the hampers. Harry sat on it and said that hopefully nothing would break it. George was indifferent and said that if something broke would not matter, as they were ready for bed, they were upstairs to sleep. The further, as they settled in their beds, Harris asked Jerome if he preferred that inside or the outside of the bed. Jerome said he preferred to sleep on the inside of the bed. They seemed strange to Harris. George asked them that he should wake them up at what time. Harris replied 7, while Jerome wanted to wake up at 6 as he had to write some letters. Now, next, Harris and I till we said. Harris and I till we said. Harris and Jerome had a discussion on the time and finally they settled on 6:30, each accommodating his time by half an hour. Next, George made till after the last. George did not respond as he was asleep. Harris and George made mischief by placing the bathtub next to George's bed so that he would fall into out as he woke up on the pretext that this way he would take a bath as soon as he got up. Student, I have explained you. Now in the gist I am telling you the whole thing of the chapter. The narrator of the story, Jerome, was proud of his packing skill. He was supposed to go on a trip with his friends, George and Harris. He told them to leave the whole matter of packing to himself, to which they really agreed. George sat on Easy's chair and Harris cooked his legs on the table and watched Jerome do the packing, but this wasn't Jerome wanted. When he said that he wanted to do all his packing himself, when he meant was that he was willing to be in the charge of everything and direct his friends to work efficiently under his supervision. He was really pleased at them for just sitting about watching him work. It was uncomfortable for Jerome to just sit idle and see another person work alone. His energetic nature made him want to get up and superintend. When Jerome packed the bag, Harris pointed out that Jerome had forgotten to pack the boots. So he had to open the bag again and pack his boot. In and just he was going to close it, he doubted if he had packed it toothbrush. Whenever he would be about to travel, he would get nightmares of forgetting to pack his toothbrush. Then he would wake up and go in to hunt for it. Then in the morning, he would pack it before he used it, and then he had to unpack again to get and would repack, forgetting to put the toothbrush in again. Then he had to rush upstairs to fetch it. He always ends up carrying the toothbrush wrapped up in his pocket and handkerchief. As usual, Jerome had to search the whole bag. He found George and Harris' toothbrush 18 times over, but he couldn't find his own toothbrush. At last, he found it inside a boot and he had to repack once more. After he was done, George asked him if the soap was in it, but Jerome was so exhausted that he just didn't seem to care. But after he strapped the bag again, he noticed that he had packed his spectacles inside and he had to open the bag again. Finally, he finished the packing at 10:05 p.m. and now George and Harris decided to pack the food hampers. George and Harris started by showing that they were better than Jerome at packing. Jerome was excited to see how they would proceed. As he anticipated, they started with breaking a cup. Then Harris accidentally squeezed a tomato by placing strawberry jam on top of it. And then he had to pick out the tomato with a teaspoon. Moreover, George stepped on the butter. Now it was Zerov's turn to sit back and watch them, which irritated them. They stopped on the things, put things behind them, and then they were unable to find them when they need them. They put the pie at the bottom and put everything on top of it, which ended up ruining the pies. They poured salt all over the place and did wonders with the butter. George got the butter stuck to his slippers. After he got off his slippers, they attempted to put it on the kettle, but it wouldn't go in. Then they put it down on the chair, but Harris sat on it and the butter stuck his back. Then they went around looking for it. After a lot of searching, George discovered that it was the back of Harris the whole time, and finally they packed it in the teapot. And then their pet dog, Montmorency, came into the scene only to add to the combination. Montmorency was a naughty dog whose aim in the life was to create hurdles and get scolded. It was only when he was screamed at that he felt that his day had not been wasted. So just when things were ready to be packed, he created again a problem. He put his leg into the jam, disorganized the teaspoon and hampered the lemon. After uncountable obstacles and tremendous effort, finally they did the packing at 12:50. Harris sat on the hamper hoping that nothing would broken. George considered himself in Harris by saying that if anything was found broken, then it would be because it was already broken. They all were ready for bed and decided to wake up 6:30. George was already asleep by then, so George and Jerome placed the bath where he could tumble into getting up in the morning and went to bed themselves. Thank you, students.